I finished reading the book Quicksilver, and even that I didn't have high expectation, I don't have at all any expectation, but still, I'm so disappointed and annoyed of this book. I will admit that I like beginning of the book. It was interesting read it. A little bit it even reminded me Dune. It's this desert with nobody have water, nobody has good food, and this evil queen. Interesting characters, Cyrus, this girl who is thief. I've read about thieves and it was interesting to read how she stole stuff, how she is running from the guards. Also it was Carrion. Another character, what it was funny, charismatic, the interesting character, and I just like, yes, that's what I wanted. That would be really cool fantasy book. But no, afterwards it again happened fire, gods, immortals, and blah blah blah. So it was happen again the same book, how it was Akatar and Force Wind and others kind of the same of this book. Few pluses of this book. First, that it's pronunciation guide. You can see how you can correct pronounce names of the characters and places also. So this is helpful, not so much for me. But for someone, it for sure will be helpful. Also, I have map here. Map is kind of strange for me. It seems that it's child draw this map because you can see so much borders between realms and forest and mountain. This map a little bit confused, but at least you can a little bit understand where is what is located. Another plus of the book, you can fast read it. It's so easy, right? That it's no problem to read, and even sometimes it's funny. So that's actually not bad. And for that people who never read this book, I just short will tell what's going on. Just really short because there was a lot going on. So we have main character series. She is human. She is a girl, 24 years old. She has a young brother. He is 20 years old. They live in the city and there are deserts, no water, no food. She needs to steal something to trade for the water or steal water. They have a queen. She is thousands and thousands years old. She is human, but no one knows how she became so immortal. So one day, she stole the gauntlet from the guard. Guards find her to the queen. They try to kill her, but suddenly she understood that she has some superpower and she can manage Quicksilver. And here, another main character is Kingfisher. He takes her to his world, right? They have different worlds there. He is fairy, but they need her superpower because she is actually alchemist. Alchemist is who can work with Quicksilver and make weapons with magic. Also, Kingfisher has a father-in-law who is a king on that certain land. Kingfisher also has a sister and brother, so she meets with them. They're pretty nice, but she anyway tries to escape to her world because they left her young brother and she worried about him. Kingfisher said that he will bring her brother, but instead she needs to help them. There was some misunderstanding, and instead her brother, he bring Carrion's with her lover. No matter of this, she anyway starts to help them. So she even make few swords with this superpower, and with Kingfisher, they at the beginning was like enemies. Afterwards, they became more and more close, and afterwards they understood that they actually made to each other. One time when she had dinner with Kingfisher, it was jump feeders. Feeders, it's some nasty creation from the vampires, right? It's their vampires also. Kingfisher with his people try to protect their lands from the vampires. Most of the time, Cyrus tried to understand her powers and help Kingfisher. And eventually it was this final scene when they understood that Madra, her evil queen from her world, and father-in-law of the Kingfisher and leader of the vampire, they're all together and they try everything to do that kill Kingfisher. Cyrus find out that Kingfisher last 100 years spent in the labyrinth, not the lord of the vampires built special for him, and he was fighting with monsters there, but eventually Cyrus helped him because she opened the gates between these worlds. And we see that Kingfisher with Cyrus, they won this fight in Mandra escape. His father-in-law escaped. The Lord of the Vampire killed by Cyrus. And Cyrus, she almost died, but they turned her for the vampire and she became something between fire and vampire. And the vampires, they have this laws that who is killed their king, that person became next king. So Cyrus killed king, so she became queen. So how I said at the beginning of the book, I had high already expectation because I think, right, that book would be amazing. And it again became fairies, immortal, everything the same how it's other fantasy books, even sex, it was kind of the same how it's others. It's not so much a difference. And then how you can spoil any romantic fantasy books, it's you bring gods. And you bring gods, so that is totally spoiled book. And of course, the main character, she became queen. How it can be different, right? Of course, she is immortal. Of course, she became queen. How it can be different. So, second book I probably wouldn't read because I already understood that it would be a pretty bad book. Everything what this author can do the best, I think she already did it in her first book. I like always try to make a list of my thoughts of this book. I did this list only at the beginning of the book because afterwards I understood that it doesn't make sense because mostly of the book we already read about this, we already discussed all of this, so it doesn't make sense to repeat it. In the book it was many ridiculous moments, but one of these at the beginning, when she stole the Count jet, they will find her and she killed a few guards and she didn't have water. She already became tired and afterwards she tried to escape them and they were running and got her. Afterwards, they bring her to the queen. She was thirsty, she was tired, she already didn't have so much power. Guards tried to torture her. He put sword to her belly and whirling it, and it was fountain of her blood. She already couldn't see anything, but still she continued to fight. Afterwards, she even stand up and walk, and there already almost no blood left. It was everything with her blood, but she anyway managed to take a sword and again fight. It was. I understood that this scene is supposed to be a tense, it's supposed to show how she's strong, and I don't know, something else probably it's supposed to show. I understood that it's fantasy, but still a little bit realistic would be nice to have there, because still she's human, and maybe if it wouldn't be so dramatic, it would be a little bit better. Another what it was for me kind of ridiculous that Kingfisher, main character, he is 30 years old. And she is 24 years old. And for me, in some way, it's like not nice moment because he is kind of old man in some way, right? Okay, he looks young and blah, 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 and strong. But in some way, he's kind of old man. And here is a young girl. And he just like right away, I love him. I don't quite get it in the books, especially romantic fantasy, when it's usually main character who is a man, yeah, and he is like thousands and thousands years old already, and here is a young girl who is like 20, 18 or something, and main character just like, oh my gosh, she is awesome, she is so wisdom, she is so strong, she is blah 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 blah. Even when you 40 years, when you 70 years, you already seen a lot, you already kind of tired of everything, you already start losing your patience to the life. Can you imagine when it's 1800 years old man, and he already seen absolutely everything, he already tried absolutely everything, he had already a lot of experience, but he's here like 20 years old. He still has a lot of emotional, so much wishes. He's still easygoing person. And afterwards, he look at this girl and just like, wow, she is awesome. Why she is awesome? What it was awesome there? What it was different with her with others? She has like this superpower. And what else? What it was about her that you never seen for all your life? For 1800 years in your life, you have haven't seen what it was with her different. Again, the question why they love each other. I didn't understood why they love each other, because it was destiny, because it was gods, because what? Like why they love each other? They hate each other all the time, or they pretend that they hate each other, and they just think about each other only in erotic way, and suddenly I can't without him. I love him so much, and he is even from the beginning. He's seen her in a lot of the blood and unconscious, and he understood that this girl he loves a lot, and that is the right one. They mostly manipulate each other, they mostly bite each other. It was so many misunderstandings between each other. They didn't so much talk with each other. They didn't know so much about each other, but they suddenly love each other. Like how it happened. It's book. I mean, it's book 600 pages, and they even didn't have like normal conversation. How it's between two people when they in the date and they just like talk and try to find out about each other a little bit more than they have already know. Even after 10 years, even after 20 years, when you think that you know already everything about your partner, you suddenly understood that you don't know so much about your partner, right? And here they don't speak, they don't know anything about, they just love each other so much that they sacrifice everything what they have and blah blah blah. I don't know, maybe because his mother Raquel and she told him that that's his destiny, and he just like, okay, there's my destiny, I love her so much. I don't know. Sometimes it's just so ridiculous. There's one line in the books that's cool when you read about this one time. Okay, it's cool when you read it 2 times, but when you already few times read the same love line, you already became tired of this. You want to read something different, right? I believe that it's good fantasy books with a good realistic, logical love line. Well, we wouldn't talk so much about vampires. Of course, it can be dragons, vampires, fairies. That's it. No other fantasy can be like only this type, and it's hard seems like create something new. But for me, it was actually too much about king of the vampires. It wasn't so much directly said, but it was seems that king of vampires, this old man who is who knows how many thousand years, it's 10,000, 20,000 or whatever, and he started love Kingfisher. I mean, I don't know what to say. I'm pretty tolerant with LGBT people. I'm totally fine read about this, but for me it was too much read about this king of the vampire who is kind of old man, and he certainly understood that he loved Kingfisher. Why he loved, what's going on in his head, what's going on in this book. I just wish that I wouldn't read about this. For me, it's kind of a LGBT plus old man likes young boys. And conclusion of this book, how I said before, it's not so much to talk about in this book, and in the same time it's so much you can talk about this book. Just don't want to talk about this because how I said before, it's kind of all of them, they are similar, and probably I will do even video about this. Somewhere I'm a little bit curious. If you haven't read Akatar and Fourth Wind, probably it would be interesting to read it to you, because in general there are like some interesting moments, some interesting characters. If you haven't have so much experience in the fantasy romance, probably it would be a good story for you. I didn't like this book, so I'm not recommending for sure. Let's try to find a better fantasy book. In some ways, you won't read something more simple. I think it would be like more interesting if, for example, Cyrus, she is human, and here's a Carrion who is human, right? And there's some immortal queen who is evil and blah blah blah. And they together, because he has charisma, he is funny guy, and she's interesting character supposed to be, and they together try to figure out how to beat this queen. Already more interesting, more tricky, more intrigue, how it would be. Maybe they wouldn't beat, maybe they beat this queen. Sometimes authors need to write something more simple, not with this map with strange names, many characters, many realms, this perfect macho man but more realistic. Harriet read about these immortals and perfect boys who is no difference from one book to another. It's like no difference at all. So thank you that you watched this video and see you on my next book and next video.